In this model, we are going to look into advanced plots, starting with an area plot. Before I go into explaining what an area plot looks like, I want to show you and refresh your memory on how we create a line plot. So I've created these variables, days and the temperature of each day. And you can see that the line plot looks like a triangle sort of. Now with an area plot, what an area plot does is that it shades the grid portion of this line plot that belongs to this line. What that means is that it's going to shade all of this region for us, just highlighting the portion that our line has covered. And that is why we call it area plot. To create area plot, we use the plt.fillBetween function. We pass in our x and our y, and I've just added some extra variables of color, alpha, and the label, which we display by using the plt.legend. We have the x label, y label, and the title, and then we show. We can see that with the area plot, it's very similar to the line plot that we have seen here, except that now it has shaded the portion that the line has been drawn under. And that is basically the major difference that we find between an area plot. So it shows a distinctive difference between the line and the area. It shades basically the area that is under the line for us and show us how distributed the temperature were across those days that we have checked. Next, we are going to see how we can make a subplot. A subplot is basically showing different units of plot in the same cell, in the same plot. I've shown you earlier that we can actually make different lines or different drawings in one plot. But in this case, let's say we want to separate it, but we want it to be in the same region. We want to save it as one plot. We want to make it just one plot. We use the subplot method. There are two ways, and the first one is by declaring a variable fig and using the function for matplotlib, we declare plt.figure, and then we start adding our subplot to the figure that we have created here. What we have done here is to say that we are creating a 2x2 subplot. That is 2 plots, 2 rows by 2 columns. And by default, when we start adding our plots, the first one comes to the first row, first column. The second one comes to the first row, second column. The third one comes to the second row, first column. And the last one, second row, second column. And here I've just added the title to distinguish them. I would like to give you a challenge to try a 3x3 subplot and see what that looks like. Another way to create subplots is by actually using the plt.subplot and then specifying the number of rows, the number of columns, and if we want to give them a particular fixed size, that is all of them having a particular size, we can also do that. And that is essentially what I've done here. And here, when we are using the plt.subplot, they have to be assigned to two variables, the figure and the axis. What we are plotting here are the axes. The axes are going to represent our subplot. And we plot the values by using the .plot function on the index value that we want the plots to be shown. So for instance, this represents 0, 0. This represents 0, 1. Because it's the first row, second column. This represents.
Hello there. If you have enjoyed this course so far, kindly support me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe will also help you know when newer courses are released. Thank you for subscribing. I do hope you have. Let's carry on with the course.
I want to see if you can guess. I hope you're right. This represents 1, 0 because we are in the second row, first column, and this represents 1, 1 because we are in the second row, second column. And we use those values to assign where we want the plots to be. So for instance, we have made a line plot here, and the second 0, 1 is a scatter plot, which is here. And the bar charts, which is vertical, is the one here. And for the 1, 1, the bar horizontal chart is the one that we have here. One other trick is that on one subplot, we can actually have different plots in that one subplot. So for instance, in the same position, 0, 0, which is this first one, I also want to plot a bar chart. And you can see that that has appeared, just like the way we have seen how we can make multiple charts in one plot. Next, we are going to look at how you can annotate a line plot. Everything here are things that you've seen before except for this line. What does it mean to annotate our line plots? Perhaps there are things that we want to point the readers or the audience attention to during presentation. We can use the annotate function to do this. For example, we have labeled the annotation as minimum, which is what is here. We have also said that the arrow, which we have set the color here to be black, to be pointing to the point where x and y is 0, which is what we see here. So when x is 0 and y is 0, the arrow exactly points to that. So let's say we want it to be somewhere around this region. That means it will be when x is 2 and y is probably around 4. Then it points to that. I would want you to actually try that. Lastly, the XY text, which is like the legend in this case. The XY text will pass into a tuple the location by the x and y. So this means when x is -3 and y is 20, we want to display a particular value. And in this case, we are displaying a mathematical formula which represents what our y value is in this case, which has been passed into the label here. And this XY text basically just shows in the location that we have put it. So this is usually used when we need to, if we just draw this line without this legend and we want them to look at this particular region, it may be hard for us to really point them to it, like I'm doing with my mouse. And the annotate helps us to actually point to certain regions. Can we annotate more than one? So let's say we want to draw an arrow here, we want to draw another arrow pointing here. Yes, we definitely can do that. We just need to replicate this line and point it to the right directions that we want the arrow to be. And of course, change the color so that there is a distinction between them. We've come to the end of the advanced plots, and I'm going to be showing you next how you can save your plots after showing it.
Hello there. If you have enjoyed this course so far, kindly support me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe will also help you know when newer courses are released. Thank you for subscribing. I do hope you have. Let's carry on with the course.